a couple of guests who I imagine hope that we do hear something tonight about voting rights. Valerie Jarrett, former Obama White House senior advisor and the board chairman of When We All Vote. Stephanie Young is the executive director of When We All Vote. Good to have both of you with us this morning. Valerie, let me start with you. You've worked very closely with then Vice President Biden. I have to ask you, how do you think he'll go about trying to make his case tonight?
Well, it's a wonderful opportunity for a president to speak directly to the American people. My expectation is that he'll take us back to the commitments that he made to us during the campaign, a commitment to ensure at that time he said he'd get 100 million Americans vaccinated by his 100th day in office. On day 99, we're at 200 million and counting. So he's knocked that out of the park, but there's still more work to do, which I'm sure he'll discuss. How he intended to make sure we rebuild our economy, build it back better. And the American Rescue Plan went a long way to stabilizing our economy. Of course, he will also have an opportunity to talk about his infrastructure plan, the American Jobs Plan, and why it is so vitally important that we invest in the future. And then tonight, I think we'll hear clearly for the first time about the American Family Plan, designed to focus on education and childcare and health care and all the ways that we need to ensure that Americans are able to thrive in our country and that our businesses are able to be globally competitive. So I think he has done an amazing job in his first 99 days, but there is a lot of work that lies ahead. Certainly talking about police reform, immigration reform, criminal justice reform, reducing gun violence, all of the issues that the American people have said to him and his administration are important. And this is the platform where he can discuss the road ahead as well as where we've been over the last 99 days.
Stephanie, what do you hope to hear from President Biden tonight with regards to voting rights specifically?
Well, you know, Craig, over 47 states have already pushed voter suppression bills that would help to stop Black and brown people and people with disabilities and folks from voting. So at When We All Vote, we've expanded our work to include more advocacy work and to also push for federal legislation like the For the People Act, which we hope will be passed. We hope to hear that from him tonight, as well as the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Both of these bills would help to modernize our voting system, stop discriminatory practices, put protections in place for all people to make sure that our democracy just doesn't work for some, but it works for everybody because everybody has an opportunity to make their voices heard. It's critical legislation if we really want to see our democracy work for everyone.
We learned just this morning that some Biden allies have formed a nonprofit to take on states that are restricting voting rights. It's called Building Back Together. It's got a specific focus on laws that impact people of color in particular. Stephanie, what do you hope to see from these kinds of groups?
Well, look, you know, there's a coalition of all of us working together, understanding that we're in a different time. There's no more off years where you just talk about voting right before a big election. We have to talk about voting every single day. We have to make sure that we're doing all that we can to fight for more voting rights and protections and stop those who want to see people who look like me and others not be able to make their voices heard. So we need everybody on the field. I'm excited about what they're doing. I'm excited about other partners and organizations that we work closely with. We're making sure that people can go to whenweallvote.org and easily sign up and take action by calling their senators and members of Congress to ensure that they make their voices heard, not just on this piece of legislation or these two pieces of legislation I mentioned, but others. So it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us to make sure that our democracy works. So I'm excited that that others are joining the fight because we all need to be on the field on this.
Valerie, our new NBC News poll looked at how Americans view voting rights, and it found that 58% of Americans are more concerned about making sure everyone who wants to vote can do so. That includes an overwhelming majority of Democrats and independents. Just 38% said that they care more about making sure that no one votes who is not eligible to vote. And that's an overwhelming majority of Republicans. What do you make of that divide, Valerie?
Look, the foundation of our democracy rests on people being able to participate in the democratic process. And what is more fundamental than that than voting? And I think that there's been a lot of misinformation out there about vote fraud. But if you listen to the experts, they would tell you that there isn't vote fraud. And so we have to combat against the kind of the nonsense that's out there and talk about facts and evidence and truths. And what Stephanie said at the beginning is right. Just think about it. 47 states trying to take action to suppress our votes. Why don't we just have it on the up and up and let every voice count? And so part of what When We All Vote is trying to do is to educate the electorate about the issues that they care about and why voting is important, and not just voting for the president or members of Congress even, but who is your mayor? Who are your prosecutors? The spotlight's been on criminal justice reform. Who are the people who make the decisions about ensuring our justice system is in fact just, not for some, but for all? So we want to educate the voters and allow them to vote with ease, which means we should expand early voting. We should have same-day registration. We should have vote by mail. You should be able to vote without any excuses for voting by mail. And these are practices, Craig, that have been standard in many of our states and have not led to vote fraud. And so what we want to do is amplify the voices of those who have the evidence, who have the facts, and try to educate the general population about why it is important to not only push back against these repressive statutes being passed by so many states, but also have a federal standard, a minimum standard that ensures really the fundamentals of our democracy.
We'll have to leave it there. Stephanie Young, big thanks to you. Valerie Jarrett, no one on television has more beautiful orchids than Valerie Jarrett. It's like she's got a greenhouse there. It's beautiful. Thank you both, ladies. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.